Hello everyone. I'll try to get through this without being too hot or too emotional, because this is an emotional topic. It's about our pets, our fur babies, and where they go when they die. And the stories about people saying that their pets may be a little bit closer than what you would think. I've had, obviously, pets that die. I don't think I ever remember having one come back. Doesn't mean they didn't, but I was really close to one. The one I've been close to the most after my sister died, and I had that puppy, and sort of took it as my, kind of like it was my sister. We did everything together, and then. But I don't remember it ever coming back, and I'm sure lots of people have had these experiences where they do. And here are just a few. Whether they be, though, let me say this first, whether they be your dogs, your cats, your snakes, your birds, your fish, or anything in between, hamsters, gerbils, guinea pigs, you name it. It could be anything when we get close to each other. And then they go to the other side. What happens to them? And one often wonders what happens to the wild animals too, because if our pets can come back, then I will assume so can any animal. I don't think that God would they would die and just have them disappear. So here's a few stories where people say they have come back. Here's a lady, I'll say her name, Jean Simmons. She had a black cat named Neville. She says, some years ago, I had a black cat named Neville. One afternoon, a lady knocked on my door and said she had run over my cat. For 2 weeks, I was devastated. One night, I could not sleep, so I went downstairs to make a drink. And while she was making a drink, to make a long story short, she saw right in the kitchen, Neville, solid, looking at her. It lasted only for a few seconds, but it helped her. Like they come back sometimes just to say, look, I'm okay. Don't worry about me. I could see where that would be helpful, because then they don't just die and they just, well, I mean, I never thought that anyway, but there might be people who worry, like, what happens? Do they suffer much? And then they see their pets and they're happy. Here's another one, a Janet Smith. She said, I was visiting a friend I hadn't visited in a while. Let me just see if I remember the story. Better than just having to read it off of paper. And while she was visiting this friend, she saw that lady's black lab, who usually came bounding out, and her friend would have to put it, up, because it was, I guess, friendly and overly excited. And she noticed the dog didn't do that when she first came over, but she kept it to herself. And then she saw in the hallway where he usually would be, she saw him. So she thought, okay, good, he's there. And then her friend said, I guess you noticed that Ben hasn't been out. He died some time back. And she didn't say, I just saw him there. No, he's not, but he was still around. And then she had a lab that, let me see if I can say, sometime later she said, of course, wait a minute, let me see, years later, I was not surprised to trip over my own lab, Sally, after it already passed away. So she sort of walked around that spot after that. Not, it's nice when they still seem there, they're there. And here's a lady who said, this is a cute story, sad story. Teresa Catano. She said she had a cat named Tumbarumba. Cute name. She said, some years back I had a cat named Tumbarumba. I worked night shifts, and when I would come home early in the morning, she would usually come to bed with me. Her spot was on, she had her pillow while she had her pillow on the bed. Well, one night she was not there. But she went to bed, and then all of a sudden, as she was about to fall asleep, she felt the cat come on the bed. So she was like, okay, good, she's there. And then in the morning when she woke up, she didn't see the cat, which I'm guessing she usually did. And she looked all around everywhere in the neighborhood, and finally some neighbor said, I saw your cat get hit, or a cat that looked like your cat get hit. And so she went into an alley or something. She ran into an alley, so obviously it didn't get hit and just die. And there was a private alley, so she had to get that neighbor who had that private alley to go look. And sure enough, her poor cat was there and had died already. But she knew she felt the cat in the bed, so it had come to her in spirit. And here is another story. Glenn, the Border Collie. From Barbara Mercy. When our beloved Border Collie Glenn died at age 15, we were distraught. She goes on to say, he never slept in their bed. As a puppy, he always wanted to sleep in a blanket on the stairwell. Well, he died at age 15. They were really, of course, that is an old age for a dog, but still, I mean, you have them that long, and you know, the family. But he would always, in the morning, he would nose open the door. He would come in and put his head right under her hand, so she would pat him. And then he would go to the other side where her husband was and do the same thing. And well, so it was the night after he had died, or the morning after, I think, the next morning, the day. She saw the door open, and she's awake, she's not sleeping. And she felt him. She actually felt him. And she said that night she had a dream. A dream where she saw him running in a field with other dogs. And anybody who knows about the Rainbow Bridge knows it's a big field where your animals and pets wait for you when they go there when they die, and they wait for you, take your turn to die, and then you cross the Rainbow Bridge together. Which, at that, I mean, I'm not saying it's not true, whether it is or isn't, but if it is, a lot of people would have lots of pets waiting for them on the other side, wouldn't they? But do I think there is a place where they go when they die? Yes. Here's another story. I lost the paper, but I remember a little bit. I don't remember the dog's name. It was a cute little poodle dog. The person said when they went to I think it was a man or a woman, I don't know. Well, it's called a man. He used to take his poodle with him to the chiropractor, and the poodle would come running down there and jump into the arms of the chiropractor. Well, after their poodle had passed on, they got a call from the chiropractor saying, I just heard something outside my office. And I opened the office door, and there was your poodle. Didn't it die? And it really bothered him because he saw it solid. It was and he didn't believe in this kind of thing until then. Then he started becoming a believer, because the dog didn't look like a ghost or anything. It was a solid dog. And of course, I'm sure it disappeared at some point. But yeah, and then there was another story, I think, where this family had this dog. The son went away to college, and when he came back for a visit, hadn't realized his dog had died. His parents came in and said, I'm sorry to have to tell you this. We didn't really want to tell you, but so-and-so died. And He said, that's not possible. I was just petting him a few minutes ago. So, do pets come back? There are lots of people who would say absolutely. And who am I to argue with them? I do think that sometimes pets come back. I don't think they're ever really gone away from us. And I'm not just talking about living in our hearts. I think sometimes they do. I mean, and maybe not just sometimes. Maybe it's all the time, and we just don't realize it. Because some people maybe aren't as sensitive as other people, so they don't feel them, or they don't, or they don't show themselves because there's not as big a need as with other people, because some people are really, like the distraught people. I mean, okay, we all get distraught. I'm not trying to say we don't when our fur babies die. But when that person gets particularly distraught, I think sometimes that does, that's when they show themselves more to people. I'm sure that we had pets that passed on that always were around us. And some of them go away. There was another story. Oh, right. I wanted to say another story, but I lost the paper, so I'm going to try to remember it. It was another one where there was a dog who had passed away. I think it was like a little Bedlington Terrier. Cute dogs, like sheep. And the guy woke up like at 2:30 in the morning and heard the collar and the little tag and the collar, kind of that sound it makes, and like the ear or something, and that sound that it would always make. He heard it, and of course he told his wife, and his wife just thought he was dreaming it. And then she also had a couple of days later, she also had an instance where she felt she was sitting outside, and she felt the dog. It would sometimes nose their legs and stuff to get their attention when they were out there. She felt that. And then that same day at tea time, she heard the door, the sliding glass door. I guess it had a certain way to get in. She heard that, like it always would do around this time. And also, I'm not sure if it was the same night or another day, she also had the experience where she was sitting on the couch, and she felt the dog, like where her hand was, like it was trying to get her attention. And another time, he said, like a couple of weeks into that, after the fact, he saw it, like it was going into a room, but he saw their dog like their dog was when the dog was really young, because it had been older when it passed on. And then one night he heard the tag and the collar thing again, but he said that was the last time. It was like a faded sound. So sometimes I think they come around for a certain period of time, and then they slowly, they know they're okay now. They don't need me as much anymore. They'll get on with it. And so they transition to wherever they go. I do believe they go to, like I said, to places. I don't believe they just whittle away to nothing. I don't believe that with anything. So anyway, just a little bit of a nice thing, and I was just about crying early when I was reading some of these stories. I was like, oh, why am I doing this? So sad. But I think it is an interesting topic, and a lot of people have their pets, their fur babies, and so anyway, have a great rest of your Sunday. To a lot of people, it's probably already Monday, and a great week ahead. Over and out.